He was the last contestant of the night. The crowd had already seen everything: dancers, magicians, singers, all blending into a blur of noise and lights. But when he stepped out, something shifted. An old man in faded jeans, holding a microphone like it was the only thing he still trusted. His hands shook, not from fear, but from memories that refused to stay silent. The judges glanced at each other. One whispered, "He looks nervous." Another sighed, "It's late. Let's just hear him." The host asked gently, "Sir, what will you sing for us tonight?" He smiled, a tired, broken smile. "A song I wrote, for someone I lost." His voice cracked on the last word, and for a second, the air itself seemed to stop. The music began, slow, fragile, like a heartbeat learning to trust again. When he started singing, the first note wasn't perfect. It trembled, just like him. But it carried truth. Every lyric felt like a confession, every chord like a prayer. The audience leaned forward, drawn not by his voice but by the rawness of it. His song spoke of distance, of nights spent alone, of love that never faded even when everything else did. People in the crowd began to cry quietly. A judge's hand covered her mouth. Cameras zoomed in, tears, silence, disbelief. When he reached the final line, his voice broke completely. He didn't hide it, he let it fall, because pain deserves to be heard too. The last note lingered in the air long after the music stopped. No one clapped at first. They couldn't. They were too lost in what they had just witnessed. Not a performance, but a man's heart learning to breathe again after years of silence. After the song ended, the stage lights dimmed slightly, and for a moment, no one moved. The old man stood there, eyes glistening, clutching the microphone as if afraid to let go of the moment. Finally, one of the judges leaned forward, her voice trembling. "That was extraordinary. But may I ask, who was the song for?" He looked down, his lips trembling before he answered. "For my daughter." The audience murmured, some gasping softly. "I haven't seen her in 15 years, he continued. "She was just a little girl when I left for work one morning. I told her I'd be home in time for her school play, but I never made it. One job became two, then three. I was chasing money, thinking I was building a better life for her. But all she saw was my absence." He paused, swallowing hard. "When I finally had time, she was grown. She didn't want to see me. I sent letters, messages, no reply. So, I wrote her a song instead. Every word tonight, it's what I wish I'd told her in person." The camera panned across the crowd, silent, emotional, faces wet with tears. Then, suddenly, movement in the front row. A young woman rose slowly, trembling. Her voice cracked through the silence. "Dad." Every head turned. The old man froze. His breath caught in his throat. The judges looked around in disbelief as the spotlight shifted, illuminating the woman's tear-streaked face. She stood there, shaking, eyes locked on him. He whispered in shock, "Lila." His voice broke, filled with a mix of hope and fear. The entire hall seemed to hold its breath. And in that single moment, the story of a lifetime began to heal. The moment her voice reached him, the world seemed to stop. The old man stood frozen, microphone slipping from his trembling hand. "Lila," he whispered again, as if saying her name might wake him from a dream he didn't dare believe. The crowd parted as she moved toward the stage, her steps unsteady, her face streaked with tears. The cameras followed every heartbeat of the reunion, the disbelief, the pain, the love trying to find its way back. When she reached him, neither spoke at first. They just looked at each other, two souls separated by years of silence, now standing face to face under 1,000 lights. Then, she threw her arms around him, and the dam broke. The audience erupted into applause and sobs. The judges rose to their feet, hands over their hearts, eyes wet. He held her tightly, his voice shaking. "I'm sorry I wasn't there, Lila. I thought working hard would make you proud." She clung to him, crying. "I didn't need your money, Dad. I just needed you." He nodded, eyes closed, pressing his forehead to hers. "I know, I learned it too late, but tonight, I'm here." The judges exchanged glances, overwhelmed, undone. Then, one of them reached forward, tears streaming, and slammed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti burst from above like a shower of forgiveness. Father and daughter stood beneath it, wrapped in each other's arms, glowing under the lights. It wasn't just an audition anymore, it was redemption in real time. The audience rose as one, clapping through their tears. Somewhere between the lights and the music, a family became whole again. Backstage, the air still shimmered with gold confetti in disbelief. The cameras followed them as they sat side by side, father and daughter, reunited after 15 years of silence. His hands trembled as he tried to speak. Every verse of that song, he said quietly, was something I wanted to tell you. On your birthdays, your graduations, the nights I missed tucking you in. I didn't have much, so I gave you my time to others, thinking I was giving you a future. But I was wrong. Lila looked at him, her eyes soft but heavy with tears. I used to think you didn't love me, she admitted. When my friends talked about their dads, I would just smile and say you were busy. I didn't know you were breaking yourself to keep me fed. He nodded, his voice shaking. I was too proud to tell you I was struggling. I thought love meant sacrifice, not presence. One of the judges, still emotional, stepped forward. That song, it healed more than you'll ever know, she said. Sometimes art is not about perfection. It's about telling the truth so beautifully that it teaches us how to forgive. The camera captured their intertwined hands, his rough and weathered, hers delicate but strong. The audience, watching from backstage screens, stayed silent, some crying, some smiling through their tears. He turned to his daughter, whispering, "Thank you for coming tonight. I never expected forgiveness, I just wanted you to hear my heart." She smiled softly. "You didn't just sing, Dad. You finally spoke." In that quiet corner behind the stage, surrounded by flashing lights and tears, the noise faded, leaving only love, raw and real, finally finding its way home. Months passed, but the memory of that night never faded. The video of their reunion spread across the internet like wildfire, titled, "The Song That Found a Daughter." Millions watched, cried, and shared their own stories in the comments, strangers writing, "I called my father after this," or, "This reminded me what forgiveness sounds like." The world had found something rare, not a performance, but a piece of truth that belonged to everyone. The old man didn't chase fame after that. He turned down record deals and talk shows. Instead, he traveled to schools, hospitals, and small community halls, anywhere people needed to remember that love doesn't expire. He sang the same song every time, his voice older, softer, but fuller, because now, his daughter always stood beside him. On one special evening, years later, they performed together on the same stage where they first reunited. The lights were warm, the crowd silent in anticipation. As the music began, their voices blended, father and daughter, pain and peace, past and present. When the last note ended, the audience stood in silence before bursting into applause. He looked at her, eyes shimmering. "You were always the song, Lila," he whispered. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "And you were always the reason I kept listening." The camera pulled back slowly, confetti drifting, lights dimming, until only their silhouettes remained. The screen faded to black with the words, "Kindness doesn't always change the world, but it changes someone's world completely." A soft piano note lingered, and the final whisper echoed through the silence. "Forgive, while there's still time."